Well, hello there, and welcome to the video. So I just got done watching Star Trek Picard, Season 3, Episode 6. And this is going to be a tough review because I'm still under the massive dopamine hit I've just got from the episode. Now, with this episode, be warned, it is incredibly nostalgia heavy. And the more I think about it, the more I see what they are trying to do. Now, the rundown of this episode, and full spoilers, I'm just going for it. Everything I've noticed, everything that I picked up on in the episode, I'm going to be talking about here. So full spoilers, okay? This episode is almost a reunion. We get a lot of characters coming in, and it does somewhat advance the story. Now, the story of this season, to me, it's good, but it seems a little rushed. It seems like they've piled an awful lot into one season, and it's a very compressed experience. It's kind of undiluted. Now, you could poke holes in the story because the story isn't as tight as it should be. There's a lot of, well, why is this happening? Well, why is that happening? That doesn't make any sense. It's buried under, I believe, quite manipulative nostalgia baiting. And don't get me wrong, I'm human at the end of the day. I got the nostalgia feels, I got the tingles, I got quite emotional towards the end of this episode because I found it quite a it's hard to describe. I found it really intense. It was a very intense episode. There was a lot in it, a lot to unpack. Basic plot rundown is the Titan is now on the run. They go to the Fleet Museum and they try to convince Geordi LaForge to help with the situation that they're in. And there's some touching moments with regards to Picard and his son and LaForge and his daughters. And that's all fair and well. I quite liked the interactions there. But this was nostalgia episode. This was to pull you in. And it worked. It worked on me. I'll put my hands up. It really did work because I got the chills. Okay, I got the hair standing up on the back of my neck. And by the end of the episode, I was like, whoa, what a wild ride. But having come down off that high, there are some problems with the episode. And I'll go into them, but for the most part, the light's green because it was it did what it was designed to do. It made me feel really good. And it does seem, and this is why I'm giving it a green light, it does seem as if this is a course correction, albeit massively overdue and I think too late. It is a course correction, and it seems like this episode is pointing the series in a direction of undoing a lot of the damage that Picard season 1 and 2 had done. So just to go through some of the key points in this episode, some of the bigger things that I noticed, and there's a lot to unpack here. The crew need to carry out a heist from Daystrom Station. Now, Daystrom Station is a place where the Federation's darkest, dirtiest secrets lay. And to be fair, it's kind of like a museum of itself. You have a lot of familiar items there, a lot of familiar faces in Daystrom Station. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I actually did see an image of the skeletal remains of James T. Kirk. So Picard didn't leave him buried under rocks on Viridian 3. And you see an attack tribble, which I thought was hilarious. I thought that was really funny. And a huge one, the Genesis device, or a Genesis device, not the Genesis device, that was used, but there's a Genesis device. And there's a replication of data there. Data, lore, B4, lol. All of those personalities are stored there. So they were trying to recreate data, and data is the database, I suppose, of Daystrom, where all the information is stored. This version of Data is able to age. That's why he's older now. And it was a it was a genuinely kind of nice exploration of nostalgia. Going back through the Next Generation. Moriarty's there as well. He's the station's AI, and that's why we see Moriarty. The whole station scene seemed really rushed. Okay, it seemed very, very rushed. It was really fast-paced, and the dialogue was off. There was something off about the dialogue. There's two stations, okay? One station is Daystrom Station, and the other one is the Fleet Museum, where Geordi LaForge is like the Commodore of the Fleet Museum. And there is more nostalgia bait there than Daystrom Station. They've got all the ships, the key ships that you remember from the Star Trek franchise. Okay, so you've got the Klingon bird of prey, the HMS Bounty from Voyage Home and the Search for Spock. You've got, and that plays a pivotal role because they steal the cloaking device off of that, which I thought was an interesting way to incorporate it. And this may be a long video because there's a lot to unpack here. You've got the Defiant there. You've got the USS Voyager, and it was great to see these ships again. It was fantastic to see these ships again. And you see the Enterprise A, it's there. All these different ships that we've come to know and love. And this is where the episode gets you. And this is straight off the back of watching this episode. Because with each ship, you get a snippet of score from the movie or episode or TV show that relates to that ship. So they're hitting you in the visual way, and they're hitting you in the audio way. And it's all working back here to remind you, hey, look at the good times. Look at what was here. And it fills you with this feeling of sort of, yes, I get to see this ship again. Fantastic. I remember those days. That was fantastic. And I've been accused of overusing the term member berries, so I'm not going to be doing that anymore. But that's what they are. They're snippets. It's nostalgia bait. It's designed to do this. And I'm getting pent up and furious, but furious in a happy way. It's really, 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 really confusing it right now. But the visual style of this episode is the most, or the closest to Star Trek you're going to get in terms of the starships. The starships actually look like Federation ships. Everything's a little darker, of course, because it's new Trek. It's got to be darker. You know, you can't have you seen too much, because then the visual effects designers and the set designers will have to do too much work. You can't stand under scrutiny of high definition these days without turning the lights down. Nostalgia in this episode gets you, and it pulls you in and kind of creates beer goggles, for lack of a better term, for the episode. But I enjoyed it. I overall enjoyed this episode, regardless of the problems. The Daystrom Station scenes were just rushed to hell until they discover data there. There was nice callbacks, and it felt more like the love letter that it's designed to be than an episode of television. I've said that before in one of my previous videos, but it's ever present in this episode. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not simping for the episode. It did what it was designed to do, and it advanced the story. The story's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. There are massive problems. For example, we know from Sloan, from DS9, that Section 31 doesn't exist in a kind of a lab, or there's no location where it's stored. It's all stored in the minds of the operatives. It's very, I'd say digital, but it's a very mental program. Whatever. Section 31, there's no physical place where all the secrets are kept. But that's been switched up now, because there's a physical place where all the secrets are kept, and it's a Section 31 thing, a Daystrom Station. It's the nostalgia vault, that's all it is. But this station's protected by lethal countermeasures, meaning that anyone who tries to break in, you're dead. That doesn't sound very Starfleet to me, because you remember this thing called a force field, where you're like, oh, I can't move because there's a force field there. Oh no, I'm trapped. I suppose all I've got to do is wait for Starfleet security to come and drop the force field and then arrest me. Who knew? But no, now there's lethal countermeasures. It's a trip down memory lane. 7 of 9 sits with Jack Crusher, going through all the ships, you know, and they're commenting on him. And it's kind of like a documentary at this point where you're going, ah, yes, I remember the Starship Voyager because I was on there. It's my chance for a new home. And I remember the Defiant. And Jack Crusher says, look, I may not like Starfleet, but I love starships, which I thought was a little interesting nod there. Jack Crusher has... Again, I don't know whether this episode has sort of marred what could be a potentially a good storyline, possibly. You know, it's been mentioned by people before that the Jack Crusher could be possessed by the Par Wraiths because his eyes glow red and whatnot. But it turns out he's just having visions that make him turn him into this changeling killing machine. Because of his Irumodic syndrome. So he's got Irumodic syndrome like Picard. It was revealed Picard had that in All Good Things. And Picard lived with it. Jack's got Irumodic syndrome. And I don't think that's going to explain why he's turned into, into Hasta la Vista changeling killer. I don't think that's going to explain it. I think more to come, no doubt. This season would probably benefit from a season-long review as well as an episode-by-episode. There's some touching moments in the episode, and I'm not sure the story is tracking very well at this point. You know, it's fair enough. We've got the changeling storyline, and that's what we're running with this season. And Vadik and her crew are changelings, and she does appear in the episode. You know, Riker's part of the away team that goes onto the station. He's captured. Vadik's beating the crap out of him, and he says, "I'm not going to betray my friends to, you know, after 35 years. Nothing can make me do that." Except my wife, which obviously they've kidnapped Deanna Troi. And Deanna Troi, at the end of the episode, she's on Vadik's ship, which was, again, it was a cool way to end the episode. The biggest one, and this is why I say there may be a course correction coming, and a huge one at that, is that the changeling stole something from Daystrom Station. We know that the portal weapon was just a distraction. It's the, oh, look at this fantastic weapon that we've stolen and promptly ditched. But the thing that they've stolen from Daystrom Station is Picard's body. The real Picard's body. They've stolen Picard's body. Now, this is where they could end up going for a course correction, which anything to undo season 1 and season 2 would be great. If season 3 is the vehicle to do that, then I'm fully supportive of doing that. But it's somewhat lacking in certain areas this season. Story-wise and narrative-wise, it's not perfect. Upon reflection, this is straight off the back of the episode, based on the format to which they're presenting this seems like a fan-made correction. There's loads of bait that I'm leaving out here, and I'll leave you to fill the comments with that. Just don't spoil it for anyone. And you can pick up on the things that I've not mentioned. But I picked up on a lot. There was a lot there. You know, the skeleton of James T. Kirk, I guess, fair enough. One thing that I've touched upon earlier in the video is that hook. And it's intense. It's intense. And it only adds to my point of binge watching this show gives you a very different perspective than watching it episode by episode. Because I'm going to go away from this video thinking, well, actually, I should have said that because that's true. And that's true. And that's true. But because it's so intense, you're going to walk away from having watched the entire season and go, you know what? That was really fucking good. I'm able to, and other reviewers are able to look at these episodes and go, I see what they did there. The nostalgia bait is double barrel. It's double barrel. You know, the audio, the visual, they get you because it triggers memories. And don't get me wrong, it's great. It's a great feeling. I walked away from this episode with a great feeling. I thought, oh, I feel like my inner fan's just been given a kiss right here. And then you go, right, okay, relax. Let's look at the episode. Well, there's a few problems here. The dialogue seems a little off at times. Worf seems, I don't know. There's something about the writing for Worf's character that doesn't match what he was back then. You could say he's developed in 20 years, but that's by the by. Something still seems off. The actors seem a little wooden at times, and almost like they are directly reading off a script. I mean, you might as well be here. The visual effects are superb. Seeing all the starships, again, it got me. It did. It got me. But is it enough to carry the season? Well, I mean, it's enough to keep my interest. It's keeping my interest. I'm not looking forward to the next episodes to figure out what happens in the story. How is the narrative driven? Oh, I don't know what's going to happen. What I'm thinking is, what else are they going to show me? What other dopamine hits am I going to get from seeing the characters that I loved? One point Vadik says, oh God, I had to roll my eyes at this. She pronounces Jean-Luc Picard as Jean-Luc Picard. And you imagine Picard saying, excuse me, but my name is not Jean-Luc Picard. My name is also not Jean-Luc Picard. It is Jean-Luc Picard. But she's not the only one who says it. It's Jean-Luc Picard. That I don't get. I know he's French. I know he's from là-bas, France. But he's not. It's Jean-Luc Picard. Picard. Now, I know that sometimes I pronounce this as Jean-Luc Picard. But it's not. It's Jean-Luc Picard. Jean-Luc Picard. Vadik says, I want to hunt down everyone he's ever loved, spoken to, talked to, any family, any friends, anyone he might turn to. By the end of the episode, it's actually Riker's wife. And you just think, well, okay, Picard's not got any surviving family. That's the whole point. There's made in Star Trek Generations, he is the last Picard. She's essentially kidnapped Deanna Troi, and that's how she's going to get Will, I believe. I mentioned before the Changeling story. It's what we've got. Okay, it's what they've gone for. I can say it's a good move or a bad move. I've not seen the entire series. I don't know how it's going to end. I don't know what's going to happen. But I do know that we're in for a real good tribute. So from what we've been told by the YouTubers that have seen the entire series. But what we have is what we've got. And this is what we've got. On one hand, it's going to be a fantastic U-turn if they pull it off. It's going to be great. But with a shit story. On the other hand, because it has a shit story, which is heavily overlaid with all this nostalgia, does that make it a good story? No. Does it make me want to watch the next episode? Yes. Because it's like a drug and I've got to have it. And it's going to be very easy for me to turn around and say, you know what? You have course corrected with this show. You have made up for all the shit that you did in Picard. And because it's Terry Matalas, and although he was tied to Picard in season 1 and 2 in some ways, he's more older Trek than newer Trek, and he's done a fantastic job of making this really expensive fan film. I don't know at this point. It seems like a nostalgia-ridden fast food cheeseburger. Now, your brain's telling you it's good. It tastes good. But does it taste good? I don't know. Maybe it does on the surface. Is it good for you? No. Is it quality? No. So those are the thoughts that I've been left with this episode. I came off the back of it and I was so, yes. Thank you for that. Thank you for that hit. That's what I've been waiting for. Yes, yes, yes. But then you stop and you think, there's very little substance to it. So overall, like I say, I enjoyed the episode. I did. I enjoyed it. The light is green. We have the green light. But I'm remaining ever vigilant because although what I'm seeing is hitting the Star Trek fan in me, the critical thinker, not the critical drinker, the critical thinker in me is saying, thank you, Terry Matalas. Thank you. I can see what you tried to do there. But the damage, the scars, they're still there. Those are my thoughts on the episode. If you like my videos, share them. Put them out there. If you don't like them, that's fine. Thanks for watching. If you want to help the channel to grow and get momentum, then please subscribe. please like the video. Please share the video. I say it most weeks in my videos. It does help the channel to grow. And I want to grow. I want this channel to start growing. To that effect, tomorrow, being Friday the 24th, I'm doing a live stream. It's a gaming live stream. It won't be everyone's cup of tea, but I will be starting that live stream at 9 o'clock in the morning. I haven't done it in quite some time, and I wasn't the best at it, but please come by and say hello. I'll be playing Resident Evil 4 Remake. I want to say until the next video, you look after yourselves. You look after one another. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye for now.
I need the silence, stop the violence of the war in my head. Time's the healer, the eraser of all done and said. And as I fall back to my shelter, I know I'll only find peace in your smile.